Hello there and welcome back to another video. Today we're going to talk about the Dracthyr race, and more specifically we're going to take a deep dive or an early look at some of their racial abilities for this race. But before we jump into that, guys, just want to shout out my Twitch, twitch.tv/MrGM. If you want to see me streaming World of Warcraft, Dragonflight Alpha Beta, Wrath Lich King Beta, and more, over on twitch.tv/MrGM. Every single day. Right, so yes, the Dracthyr Evokers, or just the Dracthyr race, is coming in Dragonflight, and with a new race comes brand new racials, and the Dracthyr have some pretty awesome racials, so let's just dive into it and take a look. Now, this is the first build of Alpha, so it is pretty early. Some of these are not yet implemented, and no doubt they're going to change over time, but I do like looking at early broken stuff, so that's kind of half the fun here. So what do we have first? So first and foremost, we have Glide. Yes, the Dracthyr can glide very, very similar to a Demon Hunter. They even have like a double jump type thing, as you can see right here. Obviously, if you're a great height, you can just press enter and you will just glide down nice and easy, which is really fun and really cool. And you know, it was kind of obvious, right? It's another race that can do double jump. You can actually do the double jump in your Visage form as well, so your mortal form can do the double jump. You just kind of like hover in the air there, which is really cool to see. But as you can see, it's pretty much exactly the same ability as the Demon Hunters. Now, the big one here is Soar. Now, Soar is a pretty awesome ability, and I'm going to show you why. So it says, muster your strength and launch into the air. Cooldown begins when you land. So this is going to be all recorded live, so ready for this. So this is Soar. So you click it, you do a cast time, you'll have a ability come up, and you change to your Dracthyr form. And as you can see, we are in the air, and we have some new abilities. So we have two new abilities here called Surge Forward and Skyward Ascent. As you can see, we are falling with style right now, and this works very, very similar to how dragon riding works on the Dragon Isles. Now, dragon riding is super early right now, so I don't want to do too much of a showcase of it, but that is Soar. Yes, Soar is a pretty interesting ability. You can fly into the air really high and control it, similar to gliding. And yeah, the two active abilities, as I said, that, you know, you can soar forward or you can soar up. The soar up ability has 1 charge and a 5-minute cooldown, but the soar forward ability has 2 charges and then a 5-minute cooldown. So you are limited what you can and can't do with Soar, and Soar itself has a 5-minute cooldown in general. Now, probably some questions, right? No, you can't do this indoors. You have to be outdoors for it, and as of right now, you cannot do it in an instance. So this cannot be some ridiculous Mythic Plus strat where you skip over everything. This is not something you can do inside an instance activity. Now, would that change? Probably not, I don't think, but when you do go in an instance, you just cannot do the ability at all. So yeah, that seems to be the case with Soar right now. You could just soar through the air, fly on your own merit, similar to dragon riding. Those abilities are very similar to dragon riding, but I don't know if this is affected by dragon riding unlocks that you get later on. There is also a racial passive called the Principle of Soaring, so it gives you a little bit more information on soaring. So it says, while soaring through the air, pointing yourself towards any given direction sends you in that direction. Pointing yourself downward grants more momentum, and evening out can transfer that momentum forward. Pointing yourself upwards slows you down. When at your slowest, you start falling slowly towards the ground, forward and down, and then this just tells you the 2 abilities that you do get access to. As I said, very, very similar to dragon riding. This seems to be the kind of a racial dragon riding of sorts, which can be used in Azeroth outside of instances, which is actually really cool. So I'm sure there's lots of really interesting, you know, things that can be used with soaring here. Like, I'm sure your minds are just going crazy right now, but soaring is going to be their big racial for the Dracthyr. The next ability is actually a spell. This is called Tail Swipe. So it says lash out with your tail, knocking the enemies within 6 yards in the air. So you can just do that. You do a cool little animation that has a 45-second cooldown. This cooldown can be affected by talents as well. There is a choice here to change the cooldown of Wing Buffet or change the cooldown of Tail Swipe by 45 seconds. And Wing Buffet being the other active ability you can do as a racial, as you can see here. Very similar. It says, with a powerful flap of your wings, knock away enemies in front of you. So you have a knockback, and you have a kind of stun in the air, similar to like a Tauren War Stomp or something like that. So that's the 2 active abilities you have, as well as Soar, and of course Glide. You also have Visage. Visage is changing back into your mortal form. As you can see, this is the animation, just kind of a swirly red thing, nothing too extravagant there. It says, switch between your Dracthyr and Visage form. Your Visage puts your party at ease, significantly increasing the out-of-combat health regeneration. And as you can see, this buff is visible up in the top right, which is really cool. So that is kind of a group-wide buff when you are in your Visage form. And that, as I said, you know, can just be freely switched between. You can do some abilities in your Visage form as well. Some like non-dragon, you know, form abilities, things like Dragon's Roar and things like that won't be able to be done in your Visage form, but some abilities can be done while in your mortal form. But for the most part, you will be in the Dracthyr dragon form. You also have armor skills. Evokers can wear mail armor, and it says starting at level 27, you receive 5% increase from your primary stat wearing mail. Obviously, Dracthyr evokers start at 58, so that's not really a problem. You have Awakened, so it increases your mastery by 2.5%. You have Discerning Eye, so it says increases your perception by 50. Perception increases the radius of tracking mining and herbalism nodes and the chance of finding additional rare materials while gathering. So yeah, definitely some increasing gathering stuff there. Perception is, I believe, one of the new stats from crafting, and that is something that the Dracthyr will have as a racial, but as I said, not yet implemented. You do have Essence Burst here, but I think this might not be in the right bit. I think this is actually a Devastation talent. I'm not really sure why Essence Burst is in there, but yeah, it affects an evoker ability called Living Flame, so I'm not really sure why that's in there. Maybe that is a racial of theirs, but I don't think it is, if I'm honest. Another racial is Familiar Skies. This one's really cool. I actually really like this. It says you fly 20% faster on continents that you have fully explored. So I love that. Like, obviously, once your Dracthyr Evoker comes out, you can go and explore the world, or you can use some of those heirloom items which were implemented recently, and you can fly 20% faster on your flying mount. Now, for flying mounts, if you're curious, you cannot, you know, mount in this form. So once you mount, you do change back to your Visage form, unfortunately. So you cannot mount in your Dracthyr form, you will only be able to mount in your Visage form. Yeah, so that kind of makes sense, really. A dragon riding a dragon is a little bit interesting. So yeah, you'll be able to fly 20% faster in continents that you fully explore, which is fun. Their language is Draconic. Yeah, they speak Common and Draconic, which is really cool. So maybe there's some stuff in like Blackwing Lair or some of the dragon dungeons that you can actually understand. Pretty cool, though. I like that a lot. And as mentioned, they have the principle of soaring. If you're curious about weapon skill, this is evokers only. Obviously, evokers can only be Dracthyr, and Dracthyr can only be evokers as of right now, as of the first kind of patch of Dragonflight. Obviously, I think in the future they will be able to be other classes, I would imagine. But if you're curious, evokers can use axes, daggers, fist weapons, maces, staves, and swords. So yeah, that is kind of a quick overview of the racial abilities for the Dracthyr race, which are coming in Dragonflight. As I said, this is the first build of Alpha, so no doubt these are going to change, but this will be a fun little time capsule to come back to in a couple months and be like, oh look, they had that, that was how that worked. And yeah, so we'll see what happens. But yeah, guys, let me know down below what you think of the Dracthyr race and what you think of their racials. I think they got a pretty good amount of racials there with some pretty awesome interactions there, so I'm looking forward to seeing if they stick around, because I hope they do, because they are fun. So yeah, guys, thank you very much for watching. Before I go, I'd like to give a massive shout out to my amazing patrons, YouTube channel members, and Twitch subs. You guys are awesome. And if you'd like to support the channel in any of those ways, links are down below. So leave a like on this video, guys, if you liked it, and subscribe if you haven't. I've also got a partner Discord channel with over 3,000 members, and as I said, I'm now streaming on twitch.tv/MrGM. If you want to see me streaming World of Warcraft, Dragonflight Alpha Beta, Wrath Lich King Beta, we've got a lot of testing to do for the rest of the year. It's going to be a lot of fun. So if you want to check me out, guys, I'm over on twitch.tv/MrGM every single day. And with that, guys, I'll see you next time.